print, and the people from broadcast have to stay in broadcast. No.
So we're going to see someone like Anderson Cooper writing articles, maybe.
Maybe.
Right. Okay. And having a blog, I'm sure he has one. So and that's part of the job. So basically, the typical high school teacher does not have direct experience. Many high school teachers have been doing it for 20 years, and they plan to do it for another 10, and they have no idea what it's like to be out of work, because they know if you want to be a high school teacher, there's probably a job for you somewhere. We always have kids. We pay taxes. Even in bad times, they still have to educate. It's as if everybody was required to buy horsewhips. And even if we don't need horsewhips, we're still going to be paying people to make them. That's essentially what the choice I had to make. Will I become yet another geometry and math teacher who just churns out and prepares kids for the geometry and math test that's in their future? Or will I give them the skills that they need to prepare for a life of having 7 or 8 careers? I mean, not just jobs, careers. Total different job choices. Someone who may start off learning how to be an auto mechanic and eventually move into computer repair, computer website management, content. Someone who then maybe goes back to school and becomes an EMT, or maybe even a paramedic. And then from there, well, I don't know. I shouldn't be teaching skills for a particular job. I should be teaching how to get skills. And so that's what we're doing in this little charter school. We're basically getting the student through the same 24 courses, but it's online. The student walks in and sees maybe 4 subjects, but he gets to decide, or she gets to decide, you know, I really don't feel like doing algebra today. And I really like that article I was reading yesterday. I think I'm just going to stick with history for the rest of the day. And that's fine. My job is just to make sure sometime in the 4 months, because they got to get through 4 courses in 4 months, I just have to give the support. And we call this guide on the side. I don't consider myself a teacher. I'm a guide on the side. And teacher to me sounds like preacher. It's pretty much very close word origin. If you're teaching, often we preach. If the core thing that I've learned in this system, it's respect, and it's respect for the person. High schools are built not for students; they're built for the convenience of the teacher. Because I could just go to one place, and then people come to me. It's my convenience. It's built for the convenience of the administrator, that we stay in our little boxes. We don't go on field trips. That's just too dangerous, right? We can't have children wandering the streets looking for, you know, I want to take my students out and let's go look at the geometry of buildings, or go into a mechanic shop. There's a mechanic shop right next door to our school. Why don't I take my students over there and we could actually see how the math that's going on inside an engine? Oh, no. If they allow it, it's reams of paper to do. So it's just simpler not to take people on field trips. You know, permissions from parents, that sort of thing. So the format that we have in this school is more about respect for the student, and the focus is on the real client, which is the student. If we look at organizations, we can tell who's being respected in the organization. Is it the client, or is it an organization that was built basically for the convenience of the people who work there. Or the owners, sometimes the owners of the organization. That's the main client. And, you know, take it or leave it, you show up or not. Follow their rules, that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's a long answer to say, yeah, I'm a high school teacher.
And how do you think that more charter schools, like the one that you work at, will, you know, turn up in the future? Does it look like there's an increasing number of them?
There will be, because it's very profitable. I'm not going to say that the structure that this particular charter school is the right one. I'm painting a very rosy picture. If I were to describe this charter school the way I really feel about it, you would hear that it's basically about, for every student, there's $4,000 attached to that student. And so if we can get, or if the charter school can get that student to come into and sit in this room for at least 4 months, they get, it's 6 months. If you can get them, keep them there for 6 months, every 3 months there's $2,000. So that's $4,000 if I can keep that student in that room. So we've got, say, I'm responsible for 25 students. That's $100,000 I'm responsible for. I get paid $30,000. Now, the math works out really well, because if the charter school can keep me in the building at $30,000, which is about a third. Most teachers earn about 40, 45, something like that. I'm accepting 30 because I don't have a lot of hassles, and it's really fulfilling working with students, and I'm learning more from my colleagues. I told you about that collegial thing. I get to watch, and you know, maybe it's not boring work, because if a kid doesn't want to work on algebra, I have a high school diploma. I've done history. Let's read it together if they're having difficulty. So it's a very fulfilling type of work, and the owner of the school knows that, so he doesn't have to pay me as much. So there's an element of disrespect within this kind of school, and it makes a lot of money, so you'll see a lot of this kind of school cropping up. What I hope will happen is that I make it a point to be very friendly with journalists, because they may be the best source of spreading this. The reason I mentioned Copernicus and who was it? Who are those guys? Those Newton. Those guys. There's a process of diffusion. In 1610, Galileo, his message was shut down. He even had to write a letter or sign something that said, "Oh, I was wrong. Don't believe anything I said," just to be able to stay alive. This guy came up with the idea that the innovation has a process. It doesn't just, someone has a good idea and then everybody, oh, obviously, gravity's causing the apple to fall. Right. That didn't happen.